This week in the NBA, what Pat Bev said, reiterated. What did he say?
I like he's talking about Chris Paul. He said he's not on Steph Magic level. He's not even on Westbrook level. I think that last part is wrong. I think he's higher than Westbrook.
Pat Bev said that he's not.
It's not true this week in the NBA.
I'm just saying I'm just adding to what you're saying. All right then, Hotshot, go ahead.
Because I don't really want to talk about everything. I want to talk about something really specific.
I was about to respect your boy.
Pat Bev said he literally name dropped Paul George in the situation where I really want to talk about. He said nobody was scared of the Suns. He said nobody. And listen, we could talk shit about Pat Bev all day, but he's him and Steph are really good friends. Him and the Clippers, they're really good friends. So he has a type of connections in the locker room. He said nobody in these locker rooms is scared of the Suns. Nobody has been scared of the Suns. Nobody's looking at Devin Booker like, yo, he's scary. He's name dropped Paul George and said they were just talking last night, and nobody is scared of the Suns. And I think like stuff like that is like a testament to the type of team you are. Like when even he gave respect. He said Steph is one of those players. Luka Doncic is one of those players. He even said it. Kawhi, he said he cooked me, Kawhi, and PG. He already knew he was going to cook the Suns, which is understandable. Those are the three best at what they do. The Suns don't have that type of power. But I think like Pat Bev saying that, Pat Bev going up on there, that kind of shows the testament to kind of like how teams view the Suns, specifically the Warriors and the Clippers, because he has the most connections in those locker rooms because he's cool with those guys. But that really shows like how people really viewed the Suns as a contender. Like people, the fact that people tried to paint Devin Booker in this image, Kobe like he's an assassin, he's a dog, he's on another level, and players don't really look at him like that. I think that's kind of like, that should be kind of like shocking to us fans because we view him as probably a top 10, top 12 player in the NBA. And players are like, nah, we know who's the dogs. Luka's a dog. Steph's a dog. Giannis is a dog. LeBron's a dog. KD. Booker ain't really that. So I think that's kind of crazy.
I don't know if he was really singling out Booker as much as he's trying to combat CP3.
They asked him Devin Booker or Paul George. He said Indiana, Paul George. It ain't even close.
All right, fine. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Well, Indiana, Paul George, and Paul George now, two different players.
Yeah, but he said he ain't even close to that PG, and this PG way better.
Well, he's not. This PG's not way better.
I don't think way better.
But
that's what I'm telling you. What
Pat Bev also. I agree with some of the comments, but also he was just very biased in some of his takes. Like the reason why he had Paul George over Devin Booker was because Paul George has done more in his career rather than who's like the better player now.
He's very high on winning.
So you think the better player now is...
No, he's high on resume. That's why he thinks Westbrook is touching Chris Paul right now because Westbrook is... We know who Westbrook is. That's why he said that the Sixers should still give Harden the max. He obviously hasn't been watching because Harden's not the same. There was a report that came out by Brian Windhorst that nobody in the NBA believes Sixers are giving Harden the max. So for Pat Bev to be like, oh, it's because Doc Rivers' system, that's why Harden is not the same. You should still give him $40 million or $50. Pat Bev hasn't been watching that much basketball, and NBA players have a tough schedule. They're not watching all the time.
But one thing
he was out in the first round.
One thing I thought that was funny was Pat Bev was saying the night before when he's planning for CP3, he's not really playing for him. He's going out to the steakhouse. He's having some wine. He's chilling. But when he's going against Steph Curry, he's in bed at 8 o'clock. He's telling his mom, don't call him. He's telling his girl, don't call him.
That's every player.
He was just being very disrespectful to CP3. That's really what it was.
36 years old.
At 30, which is why I felt like it was out of line. And maybe there's a little bit more, which is obvious. It's not a little bit, it's facts. There's a blatant hatred between the two of them.
No, I'm saying
they have beef.
For him to go on a media world tour to bash his name.
If you're an all-world defender, are you really going to sleep early for a 36-year-old Chris Paul?
Listen, man, I understand, but he's throwing his name around like he's a piece of trash and not a top 75 player in NBA history.
He's on the top 75, right?
Of course he is.
Of course, he has to be.
We're talking about him like he's a top 4 point guard of all time. He's not on all 75? Duh.
I don't know why I thought he wasn't on the team.
Come on.
I mean, Pat Bev literally talked about how Chris Paul only has numbers because he had opportunity.
I think when it comes to him and Chris Paul, obvious bias. But I don't think he has any bias towards Devin Booker. He asked a serious question. What has Devin Booker done?
I agree with Pat Bev and talk when
Didn't Pat Bev break Devin Booker's nose last year?
I wouldn't say broke.
When Pat Bev talked about Chris Paul, I mean, when he talked about the Suns and how nobody's scared of them, okay, like I can probably put 2 and 2 together and think that's a true statement. But when he talks about Chris Paul and how he only has these stats and he's only an all-time point guard because of longevity and stuff like that, I mean, what JJ Redick said to combat that was true. Like, not just anybody can get the keys to the Lamborghini. And Pat Bev even used JJ as an example. Like, JJ, if you were on the Clippers your entire career and had that much opportunity, you'd be first on an all-time three-pointers made list, even over Steph. And it's like, to me, when you say something like that, I mean, Pat Bev would never, ever, no team would ever look at Patrick Beverley and say, you are going to be the engine of our offense. We're going to play through you. No team in the NBA would ever do that. I don't think a tanking team would do it. If they had to be competitive, would pick Pat Bev to do that. So because of that, how can you just blatantly disrespect Chris Paul? But after that, I had no problem with what he said. I love this type of rivalry and shit talking back and forth. I love this.
That's facts.
Big energy. Very big energy. He has some points. Kevin 100.
And then you saw what Dame said back to him?
Dame is violating right now. He's actually going on a Twitter rant talking about he a bum, nobody guards him. He's going crazy. Dame needs to chill.
Did he cap?
Because, no, I'm going to tell you why Dame needs to chill. Because Chris Paul actually has a very strong resume. Dame ain't really got nothing. Like, we know Dame is great. We know Dame is great.
Is crazy.
Dame doesn't care, though.
Yeah, but they posted a picture of literally Dame's accomplishment. He had the comment, like, I ain't shit. We're not saying you ain't shit, but it's kind of hilarious how when you looked at the stuff, it really was a lot of zeros. Like, zero this, zero this, zero this. So it's like, chill, Dame.
But I don't think Dame cares. I think Dame has made peace with not winning a champion. Not even
shouldn't have been.
But I think Dame has made peace with not winning a championship. Like,
I think he's made peace with not winning anything.
Like he's good for the rest of his life. He doesn't care. With Chris Paul, I think Chris Paul going on JJ's podcast and saying I'm addicted to the finals, and like Chris Paul, I think this genuinely hurts him because he wants to win and he wants to be at the highest of high levels.
Of course, because you win that championship, it changes how people saw your career.
It also speaks to your competitive edge.
Like, I think Chris Paul cares about legacy. Dame doesn't care about his legacy.
I don't know about that. Why are we assuming that? Or at least
basketball legacy.
But why are we assuming that?
Because I just the way Dame talks, I can put 2 and 2 together and assume it.
I don't know if I'm
I think Dame
side of the
I think Dame is totally fine with not having MVPs or finals appearance or all these other accolades or resumes. I think as long as he's made his money, he's tried his best to win, he's fine with that. I'm not saying I think he loves basketball, but I don't think he cares about all of the legacy talk that circulates with people in the media. I don't think he cares at all about that. He can retire tomorrow and be complacent with how his basketball career went. That's what I'm saying.
So my this week in the NBA is the fact that now we have an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference MVP trophy being distributed. In the Eastern Conference, it's going to be called the Larry Bird Trophy, and in the Western Conference, you're going to have the Magic Johnson Trophy. Now, I wanted to gather your guys' opinions. What do you guys think about an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference MVP?
How do they determine it? It's just the best player or the winner of the Eastern Conference?
It's most likely going to be the winner, I'm assuming.
Because the best player should be on the winner, most likely or not.
Okay. I guess it's cool.
I like it.
I wish they can go back and go through the history and give the players that should have won it the award, because now I feel like players are going to use that towards the end in terms of comparing it to other players, and it's kind of sucks. It's like, well, we didn't have that. We didn't need to have that. It's like, well, we did. So I wish they can go back and look at history. But I guess it's something dope because making it to an Eastern Conference or a Western Conference Finals is a big deal.
100%.
It is winning in the NBA is extremely hard, and getting there is an extremely big deal. So shout out to them for trying something new. I feel like LeBron, and I'm not a LeBron fan at all, but they should have named it the LeBron James Eastern Conference
But you know why I respect and understand the meaning behind it is because Larry Bird and Magic Johnson saved the NBA.
True.
Both of them being on the opposite conference.
It's fair.
And they built up what the NBA is now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. LeBron's going to get a trophy named after him eventually.
Nah, if MJ don't got one, he not get one.
MJ's probably going to have one too.
Well, if he don't got one, LeBron ain't going to get one. I'm just be honest with you.
Until that time, yes.
MJ should get the scoring title. The scoring title should be called the Michael Jordan.
But that's the thing. Do you think that holds significance to what Michael Jordan is? Like, is he just scoring?
I mean, it's either that or the logo.
I agree with that.
So
I agree with that.
You don't get none of those. They already gave Kareem and Bill Russell, they already gave them their stuff. They gave Magic, now Magic and Bird got his stuff. So it's only a matter of time.
It's inevitable. Jordan's going to get his a long ways away. LeBron's going to get his. But I'll say this.
Like 40 years
The reason why I like it is also because in MLB, you get an ALCS, an NLCS MVP. And that's something that
have their
holds
own
significance.
Awards in each conference.
Correct, but only ALCS
MVP,
exactly. Which I think that the NBA should also incorporate a Western Conference and an Eastern Conference MVP, in my opinion.
I don't know about that.
Listen, I don't mind it right now.
Is there more players on baseball? Don't you guys have more players?
Yeah, there is. There is.
That's different.
I understand what you're saying.
There's a lot of positions
in baseball. Yes, but I mean, there's only one MVP both ways, and pitchers usually never win MVP.
Yeah, but it's like
there's been for sure.
Yeah, of course, but there's like you got the pitcher award, then you got the
Cy
MVP,
Young.
then you got the hitter award,
Silver
then
Slugger.
you got the fielders, like you get the center
glove.
field, the left field.
Yeah.
So it's like they pay respect. You don't need a point guard award or shooting guard.
But that's no, I agree. But the point guard and the shooting guard award is the All NBA squad. That's their Silver Slugger. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind this. I think years away we'll start to acknowledge it more. It's like, let's say Tatum starts to dominate and he starts becoming Eastern Conference MVP, or Luka on the other side is Western Conference MVP. It's just going to help resumes. It's not going to diminish them. It's not going to diminish previous players who didn't win. It says you can just look at it very obviously. LeBron went to 8 straight finals. He'd have 8 straight Eastern Conference MVPs. That it's not going to be used against new players against previous players. There's no way. But it's just going to benefit future players. You think so?
Yeah. For sure.
But, like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's like LeBron James would have had 8 straight. Jordan would have had 6 straight.
Because when Bill Russell played, I don't think they accounted for blocks at that time. So
or steals.
He has no block leaders. Like, he has no seasons where he led the league in blocks.
But people still understand that he's still one of the best defenders to play the game.
Then when you match somebody's resume and you're like, oh, well, this guy has led the league in blocks 6 times. Look at Bill Russell. He's 0.
I guess it just takes into account of people that really know the game and people that just like the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. I think people should be awarded for that. I think the conference finals championship is a big deal, and having an MVP for it is good. But that being said, I'm actually an interesting nugget about that. I was watching a Magic Johnson and Larry Bird documentary, and although they say Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA, I think Larry Bird saved it more. The only reason for that is because in the documentary, and even in like shades of like Winning Time when you watch that show, it's like at the time fans of the NBA were very racist. So they didn't even like the Knicks. Like the Knicks were a team that nobody went to go by because it was filled with like all black players at that time because they were racist. So the only reason why the NBA was able to be saved was because Larry Bird was a marketable white player.
But you also needed that counterpart in Magic Johnson. He was really unbelievable. And for the fact, he was
to an extent. But I feel like
all the famous people
and his personality too just played a factor into how charismatic and how likable he really was.
Yeah, to an extent. But they needed it's a shame to say, but like they needed that white star in Larry Bird. But that's
understandable.
That's how like backward society was at the time, though.
For sure. But I feel like Magic. Remember, you ever see that flick of Magic with Mike Tyson?
I don't know if that's real, King.
I don't care if it isn't. It looks like it used to have cool. Everybody at the games, bro. Like
I know, but you wouldn't have Michael and you wouldn't have Prince in the same room together, like walking in like that.
Absolutely not. But
that picture is lit. It's one of the best photoshops ever.
Every famous person in the 80s at the games, bro. He was so like popular.
That's Showtime. I mean, it's called Showtime for a reason.
Ironically enough, the Celtics team that was the best Celtics team of all time, I believe.
83?
I think 83 or 86 is one of those. But Larry Bird, Kevin McHale,
Robert Parrish,
Bill Walton.
I want to say it's 82.
It wasn't 86.
No, I'm sorry. Was it 80?
It wasn't 86.
Was it 84?
It was 83, 84.
Because
or 82.
No, I know.
It was early in the 80s. Early 80s.
It's either 82 or 84 because it went Lakers, it went Celtics, it went Lakers. I think it went Celtics.
Philly won in the early 80s.
Early 80s, correct.
I thought the best Celtics team was the one with Luke Walton.
No, Bill Walton.
Oh, Bill Walton.
Correct. Lucas is father.
No, it was 85, 86.
85,
86 was the best.
The Philly, because Philly, the best Philly team is in the early 80s. I think 82, 83 when they had Moses, and Barkley just got drafted.
That was late. That was later, I think.
Okay, so I was going to say,
because I know Magic beat Dr. J in the finals.
Yeah. So
81.
this team was Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, Scott Wedman, Bill Walton. So yeah, that was the team.
Greatest Celtics
Bill
team
Walton
ever.
was
MVP.
Legend, man.
He is a legend.
He
mad
was a
good.
legend.
Well, this week in my NBA, to wrap this up, was that David Kaplan of NBC Chicago said that there's serious concerns within the Chicago Bulls front office about Lonzo Ball's knee. That Lonzo's knee is not getting better, and the Bulls front office is concerned about why he still has pain anytime he tries to ramp it up.
Yep.
That's another reason why Zach could leave. Just saying. I mentioned it last episode about the injury concerns with Lonzo. And now,
did you really?
I didn't. Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. No, I forgot.
The reason why he leaves is because DeMar's aging. Alonzo can't play a full season, and Vucevic is afraid to not.
Interesting from the guy who actually can't play a full season. Zach.
Whoa, that was rude.
No, I'm saying it's interesting how he uses that towards a guy who actually can't play a full season.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily coming out of his mouth. I just think you just came crazy at Zach LaVine.
No, I'm talking about for what Joel said.
I know, but I'm saying that's a hypothetical situation that he just said. And you just came crazy at LaVine.
It just doesn't make sense.
I'm just saying, bro.
Just brace
be nice
yourself.
to him.
For what?
So
when he doesn't
impact.
leave, what do you like? You're gonna go up here. You're gonna come up here and troll again.
I don't really have to prepare for that moment because I already kind of know it's gonna happen.
Listen, bro, if he's gonna leave, let him come to the Lake Show so you know someone's gonna take care of him and
so
really
you can
love
at least
him.
get Westbrook.
I wouldn't wish that on you.
We wouldn't get him.